I want to invite you to reflect on some economic truths that has a huge impact on how we govern our society and that we very seldom question. Economic thinking and practice is a scientific field that is about human creation. It's not something given by nature. It's not a tree that we are studying. It's something created by our forefathers and foremothers and ourselves in our own time. I want to take a closer look at some man-made economic thought patterns and practices that we are governed by. And do we want to keep them? Or do we want to create something else? What are the opportunities? In early January, a few years ago, I went up in the mountains to go skiing. When I got out of the car, there was a huge untouched mountain area glimmering in the sun. I was completely alone. I was not familiar with the area, and I thought that the safest was to follow the path the person before me had made in the snow. Then I did not have to think myself. I just had to go ahead and rely on that the other person knew what she was doing and where she was going. And this is how I see what very often happens in the field of economic thinking and practice in Norway and in the world. We take business school truths of how to govern our businesses and society for granted. We started to discuss them in relation to the financial crisis, and we have to discuss them even more. It's also a paradox that the traditional economic philosophy that is so occupied with competition has so little competition from other theories. When I was a young student at the Norwegian School of Economics and Business Administration, I got sad when I was presented to many of the theories, and I could not help thinking, is it true what they are teaching us? I became a reasonable, successful student in light of my grades, but my soul was not with me. I worked several years in business, and then I went back to the same school to take a PhD. The sadness became stronger and deeper. But due to my years in business, I was even more skeptical to the truths that they were teaching the students. For instance, that the goal of running businesses is to maximize shareholders' wealth. Where did they take that from? They say that their ambition is to offer students research-based education, but this truth is a mathematical formula taken from financial theory, a truth that serves financial investors and the stock market, not necessarily the businesses and the people. The discomfort was so intense, so I terminated my PhD study, established my own company, Spekulatoriet, and launched my own research project. I wanted to study innovation in the friction between art and business. I interviewed 65 artists and business owners. I found that they were very similar. Creation was at the core of their activity. But the most important innovation I found in the friction between artists and business owners was a humanistic economy based on generosity and dignity, with the creative human being at the core. And I will take you into a little piece of this thinking, raising this question that I had touched already. Why do we run businesses? We have this business school truth, maximize shareholders' value. This is Kurt Johannessen. He is a performance artist and a professor in art. And he said to me in an interview, traditional economists ask the wrong question. They are so occupied with what they shall get, not what they want to give or what they want to contribute with during their lifetime. This get attitude from this economic perspective can also be seen as something that has infected our thinking in our society in many areas. What I found on my path in this research process was that I found what I will call life-enriching businesses. First and foremost, it was important for them to create. The joy and satisfaction to see their ideas become reality. And this was often the only outcome of running the business in its early years. And it was only the love for the project and the idea that made them able to go through the all hard work and that they earned a little money. Second, it was important to them with autonomy. Freedom. Freedom to run their businesses as they wanted to. The importance of not to be slaves of the capital market and produce even better results every third month. Many of the private business owners that I talked with said that it's not interesting for us to go to the stock market. And third, they focus on being money masters, not money slaves. Many of the company were very occupied not using money on money-consuming activities that did not create value. They focused on very low administration costs. And another question, what kind of money energies do we want to relate to? Olana, for instance, maybe you know the company Olana, said no to a huge order from a big chain in Germany. And the man in the other end of the phone could not believe his own ears. He was not used to get a no to such a big order and asked for an explanation. And the manager in Olana replied, if we say yes to this order, we have to focus all our production capacity to fulfill it. And which means that we have to stop selling our products to our customers all around Europe and in the United States. Companies that share our values and our love for good design. Then after a while, you will start squeezing us to get the products at lower and lower prices. And in the end of that process, we will be dead. So this is money with death in us for us. You know, illoyalty is the first and foremost characteristic of capitalism. And the loyalty aspect brings me to the fourth aspect of running a life-enriching business. Relations matters. Relations are important both for business and for human satisfaction and joy. We are all connected in a relational field with our employees, customers, suppliers, and others, and we want to have an atmosphere of generosity and dignity between us. And dignity is bringing me to the fifth element. Responsibility and care for the other when it comes to payment. I found many economic philosophic thinking in Norwegian everyday language. From Norwegian, I found this statement. They need something to live by, they too. This care for the other. And what kind of money do we want? Money in itself is neutral, but they get influenced by the emotional energy from the person behind the money. Risk capital are very often talked about. Maybe it's time to talk about confidence capital. The future businesses, I think, is not necessarily the businesses to seek to impress us with their size, high revenues and powers, but businesses and companies that touches us in the bottom of our souls, and then we can get this effect. Because when you create something from the soil of your soul, it has the capacity to touch us in the depths of our own souls. That is where business has a lot to learn from art. Our leading international poet and dramatician Jon Fosse did not do a market research to find out what the world wanted of new theater plays and poems. He listened to the depth of his soul and presented what he heard to the world. In this way, we can create magical businesses for the future. Thank you.